how do you actually come to that idea? Okay, boss, this idea has potential. Like, give my 5-10 years of my life to this thing.
At the end of the day, what is a good idea? It has to have some kind of a moat, something that will differentiate you. He could be that Ratan Tata who would say, no, this will work.
This will.
5-7%, 10% of the times he'll actually make it work. And when it works, it will work like magic.
Education में ज़्यादा होता है क्या ROI?
Actually ROI education में कम होता है. हर business का एक break even है, जिसके बाद उसका ROI multiply होता है.
Hello and welcome, and today we have a very special guest and one of my teachers. I've learned from him, and his name is Mr. Akash Sethia. Sir has been actually a founding director of CH Edgemakers. So I was a student there, and last time you met Sandeep sir, this time we have Akash sir. CH Edgemakers has been a phenomenal name in training and development, especially technical training and soft skill training. So I started my journey, and that was a beautiful journey when I was associate faculty in CH Edgemakers. So I also started a company called Code Square Technology, and that's into e-com platform making, like D2C business, direct to consumers. Like, for an example, very simply, if you take Indigo is a good example, you can buy Indigo flights from Make My Trip or Clear Trip, but you can also book it directly through Indigo itself, their website. So that's how Sir helps. So welcome, sir. Welcome, and thank you so much.
It's a pleasure connecting to a new age medium, and thank you for inviting me. I'm having a fun time, and I hope that this is going to be exciting for both you and the viewers.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking out time. Very first and very quick question, because we're going to keep this podcast related to startups, founders, and the fundamentals and how do you grow a business, because you have done multiple businesses.
Yes.
So if you see a founder with strong fundamentals, and but his idea needs some work. अभी आइडिया में वो बात नहीं, ऐसे आपको दम नहीं लग रहा, बट बंदे में दम लग रहा है, फाउंडेशन उसका ठीक लग, फंडामेंटल उसके ठीक लग रहे, would you still go ahead with that person? Would you take that shot?
So look, your question is there are two parts to your question. Number one is, will I take a shot at the person? 100% definitely. But will I take a shot at the idea? Not necessarily, because these are two different things.
But he is in love with the idea.
Okay, that may be so, but then one of my jobs would be to actually tell him that this is blind love, and so you need to either find better reasons to be in love with that idea, or maybe think of another love.
How do we find that this idea is compelling? क्योंकि किसी को वो idea बहुत compelling लग रहा होता है.
Correct.
और किसी को मैंने भी बहुत सारे काम किए हैं, तब जाके reached here as business coach of coaches. So हमें उस समय बहुत compelling लग रहा होता है, पर किसी और को वो compelling नहीं, और शायद कोई हमारे senior को भी नहीं लग रहा होता है.
Correct.
So how do you actually come to that idea कि okay boss, this idea has potential, like this is something which I should go all in and give my 5-10 years of my life to this thing?
So you do have a point. I don't disagree. I might be wrong on my own assessment of the idea. So you're right. But at the end of the day, what is a good idea? Number one, it has to have some kind of a moat. In finance, we call it moat. Moat means something that will differentiate you. You're going to be you will bring a value which most other related products are not able to give. Number one. Two, it can be consistent.
What is that moat?
Moat, M-O-A-T.
M-O-A-T. Is it a full form? There's a full form of that?
No, there is no full form. It's the word.
Oh.
It basically means that it is something which differentiates you.
USP?
It's not just a selling preposition. It is a value preposition. So
value.
There is a big difference, right?
Okay.
Selling preposition is that it will appeal to you.
So people don't buy value?
People do not often buy value. Sometimes they do get swayed. I mean, my only preposition here is that a selling preposition is short-lived. Value preposition is a much longer lived. You just said that we did some phenomenal work in CH Edgemakers. Why? Because Sandeep sir, like last time, or if you allow me, most of our faculties, what they do is they bring a different value to our students beyond the subject we are teaching or the skill that we are helping develop, which is what is our moat, right? So believe me, I have trained, and you are probably aware of that we have trained 3 generations already. So there is a student whom I might have kind of got registered in 1998. After that, he or she sends their nephews and nieces, and there are people who come to me and say, Akash, this guy did not actually want to do an MBA, but I said, anyways, go and just kind of go through this training process because it will transform you. So the reason why they're doing that is they're looking at a value. Okay, and that value is felt, Honestly, it is very difficult for them to verbalize it. So the point I was making was that one looks at, in the idea, there has to be a value proposition. Now, what can go wrong with the founder is that he may not have been able to construct a model, okay, that brings out that value in the product. Now, there a startup, consultant can help you a lot, right? But if suppose you are that idea is just there are lots of fancy ideas, okay, which does not have let's call that a business model or a value proposition that can be consistent and that is going to be a long term one.
So when we talk about business models, everyone is looking for profitability.
Yes,
right?
Of course.
If we talk about any normal business, आम भाषा में बात करें कि भाई पैसा कमाना है हमको.
Correct.
But in the startup world, we have seen profits are often postponed.
Yes.
For a really long time.
Yes.
Like 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, and it's like push, and they're like just scaling it up, and it's more of growth, not scaling, I would say. But they scale it up. So what do you think of that, and how valid is it, and do you believe in that? या कोई business model में सही में इतना सब, क्योंकि जब हम business model बोलते हैं कि भाई यहाँ से बंदा आएगा, यहाँ तू पैसा डालेगा, यहाँ से आएगा, ये तेरा कस्टमर बनेगा.
Correct.
That's basically, अगर आम भाषा में बोले, वो होता है business model. कितना लंबा होता है वो ड्यूरेशन?
चलिए इसको थोड़ा ओल्ड एज बिजनेस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से सोचते हैं. Suppose you were to start a coaching class, right? What do you think would be a gestation period without really going into any details? Just back of the paper.
For an example, बच्चा अगर 6 महीना पढ़ा रहे हैं या 1 साल पढ़ा रहे हैं बच्चे को, तो
So
1
let's
साल.
say your gestation period is 1 to 2 years. Suppose you were to establish a power plant. What do you think is the number of years you will be ready to give?
No idea, sir.
Something like 10 years. Okay, or maybe a school.
School, yeah.
A school.
Gestation
A school will take about 8 to 10 years to establish as
कि
a
बच्चा आया
as
और
a
pass out
institute.
हुआ.
Correct. Then is when you call yourself, now you can look at profits. So what am I saying? I'm saying it depends on the nature of business, or the nature of product that you're dealing with. So there is no right or a wrong answer. You can push indefinitely a large set of businesses which possibly has a potential to develop profitability in the future, or your product is something which probably is short-lived, and so we need to make profitability faster. So often that is where things go wrong. In the media hype, or in the hype of something which is a startup world, every product which is promising is considered as something which is eternally promising. It may not be so. So अगर मतलब I believe, मैं हमेशा ऐसा सोचता हूँ कि जो businesses है ना, चाहे वो किसी भी एज के बिजनेस हो, न्यू एज बिजनेस हो, उनके सारे पैरेलल्स ओल्ड एज businesses में मिलेंगे. So if someone studies history, they'll be able to understand. Now let me give you an example. So suppose you are developing an online product for education, right? What is your problem? Your problem is currently, after all the efforts that we have made, we still do not have a model in which a student will feel like he is getting good quality education and he is getting engaged, not just in content but development and growth. Okay. Now we have not yet cracked that code.
Can you simplify this?
I'll give you an example. आप एक बात बताओ, जब आप स्कूल जाते हो और 10 साल आपके 12 साल स्कूल में निकल जाते हैं, जब आप स्कूल से बाहर निकलते हो, तो आप क्या मैथ्स, इंग्लिश और हिस्ट्री पढ़ के जाते हो? नहीं. आप एक व्यक्तित्व बना लेते हो, एक पर्सनैलिटी डेवलपमेंट होता है जिसके ये सब्जेक्ट्स पार्ट है.
राइट.
लेकिन आप कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स सीखते हो, आप रिलेशनशिप मेकिंग सीखते हो, आप फेलियर्स और सक्सेसेस से डील करना सीखते हो, आप कंपटीशन में डील करते हो, you meet many faculty with different skill sets, okay, and each of them work to build an overall personality for you.
ठीक बात.
Online education is currently nowhere close to being able to achieve many of these parameters.
Personal development वाला angle.
Right. So you see, subject is just about 30-40% of your education. The rest of it is something else. Let's make it
What is
simple.
the real difference between online and offline? Because we are like 90% online.
Person is the difference.
Person.
I mean, for example, how do I get in touch with you, or how do you as a coach know me, and so you are able to tailor what you're delivering to my needs.
Custom made.
Customization.
So that can happen in a one-to-one call.
It can happen in one-to-one call, and if you realize, one of the fast-growing businesses online in online education is actually personal tutoring. There are people sitting in UAE, in USA, and Indian tutors are tutoring them one-to-one.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is a JE business nowadays where the HNI, high net worth individuals, are letting their kids be tutored from home on businesses which are otherwise run by large coaching classes like JE, etc.
Right.
And they pay huge amount of money there.
Right.
Why? Because there, the same training is customized to that student's need. That is, student may not be so sharp as the content is demanding. So can a faculty gradually help him develop to that level?
So do you think in offline also, is that possible?
It is.
Like there are 50 people in a classroom or 40 people in a classroom. How much a faculty member can focus on one person and do it? And if that is possible in an offline, why not online? Because online also you are seeing people and...
अभी तक का मेरा experience बता रहा हूँ. I'm sure that we'll come out with solutions to help that also. One of the big problems with online education as a faculty or as a teacher or as a coach, okay, and I'm sure that you as a coach would face the same. I'm not able to look into the eyes of those 50 people, okay, at my convenience, okay, and so I miss a feedback which is there in the environment in the online. In a offline class, even with 100 people, there is a feedback in the air, and that feedback, if a good faculty is able to sense, he or she is able to, tailor, as I said,
the energy of the room, how people are engaged with you. Are they responding? So
Are they asking questions?
what we do is we ask them a lot of questions, and how much chat do we get in response?
Right.
That's how we try it.
So yes, I'm not saying that it's a complete failure. In fact, I have been trying myself online education a lot, and I have tried all those methods. There is no doubt about it. The problem is, as a result, as a coach, you need to be skilled on using that medium in a manner that you are able to bring about a different kind of engagement. So I am not saying that this is a medium failure or medium is not doing it well. It is also something that we as coaches have to adapt to the medium. Okay,
yes, absolutely.
Where we have to learn new things or new ways of engaging them.
Yes. So behind me, you see a big screen. We put the audience there,
right?
On a big screen so that we can see everyone.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Yeah. So it will actually help you get some kind of vibes there.
Absolutely.
Perfect. So that's one good idea. And I'm saying that at this point of time, education world is actually grappling with how to crack this code, right? Now, as a result, let me come back to the original question.
Sure.
The question was, so how much time do you give to such a thing?
Correct.
Do you realize that this is currently in the research mode? We don't have real solutions. And so one does not expect that a trial will necessarily bring profit.
Right.
But so what will you want to look at? You will want to look at the feasibility of that idea. Based on your experience as coaches or as what is happening in the education business, you say, okay, this may work, right? But will this work? Itself requires a certain body, of work before we are able to say, no, this is a failure or a success.
And maybe this is also dependent on the founder as well, because Ratan Tata said that I don't take right decisions, I take decisions and make them right.
Correct.
So very similarly is that if the person is willing to do it and it has the right fundamentals, as we talked about, we can find ways that, okay, usko successful kaise kar sakte.
Excellent point. In fact, if you remember, if you realize your question was that guy is in love with the idea, right? I don't like the idea I'm not convinced with the idea. Let's put it this way. Then what is it that will work? And I said I could be wrong. Why? Because if that guy is in love with the idea, he could be that Ratan Tata who would say, no, this will work.
This will work.
Okay, and
we'll make it work.
And 5-7%, 10% of the times he'll actually make it work. And when it works, it will work like magic, right? So it is possible.
Because then again it becomes that what you said, moot.
Yes, it's a moat, which maybe I did not see or I did not realize. It is possible. There is no doubt about it. Only thing I'm saying is that as a founder or as the startup guy, he has to have the ability to be able to present his idea in a manner where people feel that there is a moat. Right? That's
we are different
challenge.
And actually different.
And where is it different?
And how are you different?
Is it convincing enough? So as I said, एजुकेशन में भी जैसा हमें एक आइडिया है, क्या वो फिजिबल लगता है? अभी मुझे नहीं मालूम वो सक्सेसफुल होगा या नहीं होगा, लेकिन क्या वो फिजिबल लगता है? अगर फिजिबल लगता है तो मैं उसको एक डिस्टेंस तक कोशिश करना चाहूंगा, राइट? तो दैट इज प्रोबेबली व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन द स्टार्टअप वर्ल्ड व्हेन यू सेइंग दे कीप पुशिंग. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज you tried it certain level. Now maybe it did not work. Okay, but you saw that the body work that was done was promising, and it may still work if I tweak XYZ.
XYZ.
So the founder would say, "Chalo, let me invest a little more in this XYZs." So yeah, it's a do-it-yourself thing, right?
Do-it-yourself.
So you tweak something, then finally you reach a stage where it starts working for you.
And if we can say that लास्ट एक साल में हम कहाँ बेहतर हुए, अगर हम पीछे देखें, वो एक स्टार्टअप फाउंडर जो इस टाइप का है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल जोमेटो, स्विगी, डिलीवरी है, ये है जो बड़ा ही अजीब है कि यार आप कैसे इससे कमा लोगे, रेस्टोरेंट से डिलीवर कर रहे हो और इतने सस्ते में कर रहे हो तो कैसे कर पाओगे, समथिंग लाइक दैट, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ आइडियाज आर लाइक दैट व्हिच आर वेरी इकोनॉमिकल फॉर द यूजर but are high cost for the companies,
right.
but still they are able to find a benefit or a profit in that. तो वो वाली बात है कि भाई एक साल पहले अगर आपने, आज से एक साल पहले आपके क्या रेवेन्यूज थे, आपकी क्या कॉस्ट थी और आपके क्या लॉसेस थे, अगर वो कम होते जा रहे हैं और धीरे धीरे वो कम होते जाएंगे और फिर प्रॉफिट में आ जाएगा. सो वी कैन सी बैक से भी देख के.
So you are absolutely correct. One has to keep analyzing as to where the trend is. So maybe you're making losses for last 5 years, but your revenues are growing. Your fame, your engagement rate is going. People who are already registered with you are engaging with your content or your service. If that is happening, okay, it will probably generate profitability. If I try and draw again an old age business parallel, when a Coca-Cola enters a market like India, it invests in distribution channels and deep freezers, etc. for decades before it starts making some really
फ्री का फ्रिज ही दे रहे थे वो शुरुआत में, तो
दे रहे थे, फ्री का फ्रिज देते थे. और अगर आप देखेंगे तो क्योंकि उनको हर जगह पर बॉटलिंग प्लांट्स बनाने हैं, ये now you've reached a stage where every 5 kilometers on a highway, whether you get something else or not, you'll get a chilled bottle of Coke.
Yes.
Right. Now that is the mode they developed over a period of years, over all these years. Now, if you wish to, let's say, replicate that model, if I come up with a cola of my own and I want to sell it, right, I'll require that kind of a investment. In fact, I'll have to beat that. So that's a huge moat, right? Now that I think should be applicable to every business, whether it is online, offline, startup, a traditional business, an innovation, everything.
You're right. And so you've done multiple businesses.
Yeah.
And with multiple people as partners.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about partners, how do you manage 4 people, 5 people, 6 people on a board, coming up with a conclusion, सबको एक ही टेबल पे एक ही चीज़ पे लाना कि यही ऐसे हम कंपनी को आगे देख रहे हैं, and you've been into leadership positions a lot of time.
Yes.
Catch 22 नहीं होता सर?
Differently बोल दूँ. Let me ask you a question. When you're partnering someone, ask yourself how will he manage you. So because you could yourself be one of the problem child in the partnership, right? Chalo, jokes apart. Look, partnership, yes, is a very tricky business. There is no doubt about it. And so partnership needs to be chosen very carefully. Not that we have not burnt our fingers in a few partnerships, but thankfully we have got the right people. Probably we picked them well. So
don't you say people evolve as well? समय के साथ हमने जिस बंदे के साथ किया था 2 साल बाद उसकी जिंदगी में कुछ हुआ और उसके कुछ एक्सपीरियंसेस हुए और वो चेंज आए उसमें.
बिल्कुल. But then I'm saying this, that partnerships will evolve because the 2 or 3 or 4 partners that are together are responding in a certain manner to those changes. Okay, and that makes a difference. If I take some time to explain.
Please.
Look, first of all, you'll have to pick a person or pick a partner with whom we believe you need 2 or 3 things. Number 1 is that you need to have a trust. I think it's a very obvious thing to say, but very difficult to actually understand that do you trust him? Do you trust yourself with him? Understand this question carefully. Do you understand yourself with him? Which means, will you be able to digest his peculiarities, live with his, sometimes tantrums, okay, but you still look at synergy.
Tolerance. Can we say tolerance? Can you tolerate?
Yeah. So, no, tolerate would be a negative word, I would say. Okay. I would say, will you still be able to synergize? Because finally, why are you partnering? You want synergy.
कुछ मिल रहा है आपको.
कुछ मिल रहा है.
वो कुछ ला रहे हैं टेबल पे जो आप नहीं है. हाँ.
जो आपके पास नहीं है.
Complementary
skills. So, you have to develop complementary skills. So, when you're bringing that, you're also bringing a set of his own baggages, his or her own baggages. So we need to be able to live with each other. That's the trust factor.
मतलब अगर इसको आज अभी जैसे आपने मुझे दिखाया तो इसको मैं ऐसे देखूं कि यार अगर मेरे पास वो स्किल नहीं है, हो सकता है इसलिए वो स्किल नहीं क्योंकि मेरे पास वैसा माइंडसेट
वैसा
नहीं
माइंडसेट नहीं है,
और उसका ऐसा माइंडसेट है तो ऑब्वियसली मेरा डिस्कनेक्ट होगा
यू आर
उससे.
एब्सोल्युटली करेक्ट. Okay, let's take an example. One of my partners is a very transactional guy. Okay, transactional means he'll look at every transaction as something कि इससे मेरे को प्रॉफिट क्या मिलने वाला है. अगर प्रॉफिट नहीं मिलने वाला है तो he'll ask me कि अपन क्यों कर रहे हैं,
क्यों कर रहे हैं.
Correct. On the other end, maybe someone like me or maybe Sandeep sir you've met. Okay.
Purpose,
He will talk about ki what is the purpose. What will we gain with this in the next 5-10 years.
10 years. And what will people get out of it?
So the two of us will balance each other. Now problem is this is going to create a bit of a clash, as you said. Will he, the transactional guy, and will I both be able to see each other's perspective, and then we're going to try and find out a common ground कि ठीक है चलो. So you know how it will in our case for example.
Doesn't that compromise in business? कि अगर हम middle way पे आ रहे हैं, एक जैसे कि यार ये मैं ऐसा देख रहा हूँ, ऐसा होगा, and I'm very sure it will happen. But then the partner is there, or and like नहीं इसको थोड़ा ऐसा, like no boss, this is my child, I know this, I've been doing it from last like 3 years. And you are just maybe,
yeah, you're right.
So फिर वो जब मिडिल में वे लेते हैं तो is it a compromise or is it actually, मतलब आपका एक्सपीरियंस क्या बोलता है?
देखिए मैं आपको बिल्कुल रियल लाइफ बताता हूँ हम लोग कैसे करते हैं. तो हम लोग है ना एक रूम में जाते हैं और ये डिस्कस होता है. उस समय फिर है ना हम दोस्त नहीं होते, तो हम हमारे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यूज डालते हैं. सो वी टेल देम इन फेस दैट लुक यू आर रॉन्ग, दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क लाइक दिस. ओके, एंड इज अगेन लेट्स टेक द सेम पैराबल. That guy is in love with the idea. Say no, this is going to work, right? So एक स्टेज पे आके हम दोनों बोलेंगे देख भाई, अगर तुझे लगता है ये काम करेगा तो then let's go ahead. Okay? मुझे नहीं लगता ये काम करेगा. Okay?
And you still give your money to that thing?
Yes. So you have to understand this. You partnered with him because you trusted him with, as I said, with yourself, with your money, right? So have the ability to let that guy experiment with that money and believe that as soon as it starts failing, that guy will be the first one to feel guilty and will come back to you and is going to say, Akash, you were right. Okay, इतना पैसा गंवा दिया है. And both of us are going to say, smile, ठीक है, चलो अगली बार मैं गंवाऊंगा. So you have to kind of smile it over and then move on.
Lovely.
Right? The point I'm making is, answering your question, is it a compromise? I would say no. It is a negotiated settlement where, each one of us are testing each other's conviction. So
game conviction का है sir.
Game conviction,
है ना?
right? So if you are very convinced on your idea, you will be able to at least brush that conviction off on me. So I'm going to say, look, I am not convinced, but if you are, okay, I am not God. Okay, so go ahead. Tu kar, and you have my support.
Just like the founder. Founder is very convinced and he'll find ways. The first question which you talked about.
So there what I'm going to do is, as I told you, I'm going to still take a shot at the guy. Why? Because I know if he's fallen in love with it and he has the abilities to do it, maybe he'll be able to do it. What is my job? My job is to nudge him, okay, and let him know that look, maybe you're falling in love and you're not being rational about it.
Yes.
Right? And
so bringing that rationality in a person who is blind in love makes a lot of sense. But if someone is rational as well, has the numbers and in love, that's a perfect combination.
Oh, absolutely. You can't
That's
get a
conviction.
better guy. I mean,
Yeah, that's conviction.
That's real marriage. What are you saying? I mean, if you can get such a guy, I mean, partner today, don't think about it.
Numbers and the conviction.
Numbers,
and with numbers
conviction,
also conviction comes.
And there's a lot of course, his conviction should be based
on numbers.
If that is visible, and that is what I said, he should be able to present the idea to someone, okay, where it looks like a feasible idea, right? Then it works.
यही नहीं कि मुझे बस करना है बच्चे जैसे. भाई इसलिए करना है क्योंकि ये नंबर्स बोल रहे हैं, ये मेरी रिसर्च है, and this is ground reality, and that's how it goes.
Correct. Actually क्या है, जिद में और पैशन में बस यही फर्क है.
वो backed with numbers है, वो backed with reality है, facts है.
Yes.
और जिद है कि बस करना है,
जिद है,
चाहिए.
अब कई बार जिद चल जाती है, but then I mean that's a lottery, right?
Absolutely. सर इतने सारे काम करे आपने. आप एजुकेशन में भी, आप आईटी में भी, एंड आई एम वेरी श्योर उसके पहले भी कुछ ना कुछ वुड बी यूड हैव ट्राइड एंड तो हाउ डू यू बैलेंस द डिजायर टू इनोवेट with the temptation to replicate what has worked already?
Honestly, we haven't replicated what is working already in the manner that most scaled up businesses do.
Okay.
So if you look at our portfolio, we are a potpourri of lot of fairly successful startups, but none of them huge or big, right? Probably because at the core of our hearts, most of us are entrepreneurs.
But sir, I think CH blew up.
Oh, of
CH
course.
was all over Indore.
I mean,
like
I'm not-
every, I think हर जगह होर्डिंग पे तो दिखता ही था, इधर भी होर्डिंग है, इधर भी होर्डिंग है.
No, so I'm not
Yeah,
saying that we
yeah,
did not make it
yeah.
big. I'm just saying that it could have been far bigger.
Far
If,
bigger.
say, for example, if I
How?
was not into 4 more businesses,
How could CH blow up and go nationwide?
I'll tell you. So let's say, for example, we would not have opened more new businesses, which are completely unrelated to what we were. Right? We were initially an education brand.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we are a IT brand. We are a trading online trader brand, and lot more.
Yeah.
So had we been only an education brand, right? We could have, who knows? We could have created a DPS. We could have created a university. We could have created.
And I think you tried a school or a college
Oh yes,
as well. Yes.
we ran a formal education college,
yes.
in commerce and management space for almost 7-8 years,
Wow.
and it was doing fairly well. I mean, I'm not even that did very well.
Okay.
But then most of our group gets driven by a little new ideas, something new that we'll do, come out of our comfort zone, and make it happen.
So what is the difference between today, after being through all this, and you've seen fairly way more entrepreneurship than I have seen, after seeing that urge of innovation, and how would you differentiate between comfort zone and doing the same thing which is working? Because for people, comfort zone sometimes is doing something new. So sometimes if you're not doing something new, is the discomfort zone, and you should be there. I hope I could
I
reach.
understand that. So yes, I mean in our partnerships also, some of us are like that.
मतलब किसी का कंफर्ट जोन ही किसी का कंफर्ट जोन ही इनोवेशन होता है.
नया करना है.
हाँ.
Exactly, you're right.
तो कई बार ऐसा होता है कि जो चल रहा है उस पर अगर हम ध्यान देते तो वही डिस्कम्फर्ट है, और वही हमारा
that's an
स्ट्रेंथ जोन
excellent
है.
point. You're right. In fact, जो पार्टनरशिप का ये है ना, ये एक ब्यूटीफुल एस्पेक्ट भी है. आप में से कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं पार्टनर्स जो कर रहे हैं उसको इंक्रीमेंटली इंप्रूव करते जाते हैं.
Incremental growth you're talking about. Yes.
आपका बिजनेस इज डूइंग वेल. There is another one who wants to rock the boat all the time.
नया लाओ, नया ये, नया
उसका लाइन ये होता है कि पिछले 5 साल से अपन यही कर रहे हैं, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है?
दुनिया कितनी आगे बढ़ रही है,
कुछ और क्यों नहीं कर रहे हैं?
हाँ.
तो he will want to rock the boat. Okay, and maybe
is it fear of missing out
No, not
of
at all.
of someone?
Not at all. That's not true. No.
Because अगर किसी का इम्पैक्ट बढ़ रहा है, इंक्रीमेंटल ग्रोथ हो रही है, अगर 5 साल में आप शायद 4 गुना बढ़ गए या 3 गुना बढ़ गए, तो फिर क्यों रॉक द बोट करना है?
इसलिए करना, वही मैं कह रहा हूँ ना, कि वो आप जो कह रहे हैं वो एक इनोवेशन ड्रिवन गाय है, राइट? वो ही इज अनकंफर्टेबल दैट वी आर टू कंफर्टेबल इन अ गिवन जोन, राइट? सो एज यू सेड, उसका कंफर्ट जोन है कि
इनोवेशन इज, हाँ.
तो व्हाई इज माय ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और
तो ये पार्टनरशिप में इशू नहीं आता. Like when you are a group of people and the one guy wants to rock that board.
But then you tell me, you yourself informally a little while ago were saying that intention is very important.
Correct.
Now tell me, what is that guy's intention in rocking this boat?
To grow.
To grow. And what is my intention in keep not letting this boat rock? To grow. So
But-
both of us are driven by the same purpose.
But don't you think both of you know, and you can see in that person that he is ki it's like a pattern of that person, isn't it? Ki kuch sab sahi, we call it in psychology self-sabotaging sometimes. So I'm going a little deep.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not taking names, but I think this should be addressed if you allow me.
Yeah.
वो self-sabotaging नहीं आ जाता कई बार?
The purpose is same, right? This guy also wants growth. I also want growth. I'm saying let's not rock the boat and focus on this kind of a growth. So these are like difference of growth strategies, right? Now we're saying how do you manage this clash? What we do is we go into a room and we give each other time to explain our point of views. Okay. Then we let each other puncture holes in each other's logic. Okay, why something, see, there are very simple
Like
rational.
kind of a SWOT analysis.
SWOT analysis. In fact, a lot of analysis in the sense that we're looking at, चलो बहुत simple concept है. मैं मानता हूँ कि rocking the boat में give you growth. मैं मानता हूँ कि incremental will give you growth. Let's do a cost benefit. Okay, इसका cost क्या होना है? इसका क्या होना है? इसका टाइम क्या है? इसका टाइम क्या है? And as a result, what is your probability of actually making it big there? right? So that all the discussions happen.
Again, based on conviction also, because that's also a big
So
part.
you're trying to convince each other, right? Okay, and if you're a rational guy, and that's what happens with us a lot, we often accept कि ठीक है जो तू कह रहा है, it makes sense. Okay, I may not 100% be there, but then now I'm feeling that you have a lot of thought behind it, so maybe we can try this.
Lovely.
Okay, so how it works is, yes, we try to create a win-win, generally speaking, because that's the purpose. The idea is that.
Right.
And then suppose there are times when you get into a complete blockade. No, I'm not convinced, you're wrong. The other guy says no.
Okay, that happens.
Okay, I am right. That happens. So at that time, then one of us have to veto it. So we just say, look, I'm very convinced, मुझे ये करना है. Okay, चलो, give me 1 year. Let's sit on this.
आप वोटिंग नहीं करते कि बाकी जैसे आप
होती है बिल्कुल होती है. There are times when हम मेजोरिटी से उसको पास कर देते हैं. And we assume कि भाई अगर 5 हैं और हमने 3 ने वोट कर दिया है, तो other 2 are now on the board.
हाँ, मतलब वो भी यूज करना पड़ता है, बैलेट भी. ट्रू. लवली सर. तो सर प्री कोविड वी कुड सी दैट see it scaled immensely, and we were seeing people. What was the impact of COVID, and how did you cope up with that?
So like most businesses, COVID was like a sudden sudden happening, sudden storm, let's call it. And I'll tell you what the situation was. 1 week ago, all of us were feeling things are going south, and it can actually disrupt, right?
COVID.
And
you're talking about COVID?
Boat. The boat was,
because of COVID, it was going south.
Because see, what was happening was, at that time, there was COVID everywhere. We were discussing. In fact, I was writing a lot of posts on what can go wrong or what was going on. So we were discussing that, look, if this becomes a pandemic, okay, obviously you cannot make a lot of people sit in a class together. Okay, even if you follow all COVID protocols, it's not going to work. So what do we do? So at that time, we were not even ready for an online, education kind of a business. One of my partners, Ajay, he took the call. What he did was he gave every faculty a laptop or a desktop at home with basic camera and microphone and things like those. And he started doing it. Okay, and then Modi ji came and said, look, lockout. And you see, it was like almost so much of foresight with Ajay that he could see that this probably may happen, right? So we were readying that infrastructure, and then suddenly this call happened. Just in the same day, morning से evening के बीच में हम जिन के घरों पर एक वो पहुंचा सकते थे, डेस्कटॉप पहुंचा दिया, वेब कैमरा पहुंचा दिया, माइक्रोफोन पहुंचा दिया, एक वाइट बोर्ड पहुंचा दिया. ओके, एंड दैट्स ऑल दैट वी कुड डू. उसके बाद हम लोग फ़ोन पे बात कर रहे थे कि कैसे करना है. सो वी काइंड ऑफ ट्रेंड ईच अदर कि ऑनलाइन क्लासेस कैसे लेनी है. ओके, कुछ लोगों ने मोबाइल पे लेना शुरू कर दी थी, आपने देखा होगा कई सारे स्कूल्स में. तो ये सब किया है. मैंने फेसबुक पे शेयर भी किया था एक बार कि मैंने इतना सारा टेम्परेरी अरेंजमेंट किया था अपने घर पर, एंड आई वाज टेकिंग अ क्लास. Okay, and then soon, of course, I believe that we have been good at it, that we quickly pick up technology. So Zoom happened, and then we realized that Zoom pe hum, we can conduct classes far more easily, just sitting on a desktop. And frankly, you don't need the paraphernalia required. So we shifted to Zoom very soon and adapted there fast. As I said, we are a group of 2-3 people, so दो लोग पूरी तरह से उस पर भिड़ गए कि किस तरह से करना है. We conducted some pilot classes between each other. So let's say a couple of classes I took, and other faculty was looking at how it is going. Right? We started using the whiteboard. We started, what we did was हमारा content ready था, soft copy में होता है, तो soft copy में वो सबको भिजवाया, उनको बताया कि कैसे शेयर करो, कैसे लोगों के साथ शेयर. हमारे पास कोई पोर्टल तब तक बना नहीं था, so स्टूडेंट्स को भी हमें एक्चुअली PDFs भेजना होते थे. So we used to send them. एंड इनिशियली एंगेजमेंट काफ़ी अच्छा हुआ था एक्चुअली, क्योंकि इनिशियली स्टूडेंट्स वर आल्सो एक्साइटेड अबाउट अ न्यू मीडियम एटसेट्रा.
और कुछ करने को है भी नहीं, फ्री है.
बाद में लोनलीनेस सेट इन. ओके, एंड ऑल दैट हैपेंड. सो वी डिड अडॉप्ट, एंड एज अ रिजल्ट कोविड से जो पॉजिटिव हुआ वो ये कि हम जल्दी से सीख गए कि हमें ऑनलाइन कैसे जाना है. राइट. एंड देन आफ्टर थिंग्स गॉट रिलैक्स्ड, वी क्विकली बिल्ट अप an infrastructure, and so we are able to run online classes live even today, with fairly good this thing. Now we are trying to do more, and we are trying to build an entire platform, okay, in which we can possibly come up with a mix of live come recorded sessions, and develop an entire self-paced course.
So for
that's something
business,
that we
was it a boon, or was it did it didn't work very well?
at least for us it was it wasn't really a boon because obviously see हमारा portfolio काफी different था.
So the
For
revenues were
example,
hit.
yes, revenues were hit, and some part of our businesses were really badly hit. For example, one of our business was personality development. Okay, spoken English and communication skills. Now honestly we were floundering as to how we do it in the online medium because our entire concept was that the person should be with us, there is a group, and we are letting them build social skills. So that business immediately had a problem. Why? Because students realized that all that we could do was we can give them a lot of theory, we can probably show them videos, we can probably give them demos,
But we can't do a lot of activities.
correct. Whereas our entire business was activity based learning there.
I remember because Person Edge, when I used to take
Yes.
that Person Edge 10 years back,
So
12
if you
years
have
back.
taken Person Edge, understand that if there is no interaction, there is no training there. I mean,
Absolutely.
what is the theory there?
Absolutely.
Right? We make you do it and then help you.
And even if you want your students to interact, they don't have the right equipment.
Correct.
Maybe a microphone, maybe a camera. They don't have.
So at that time, even internet itself was a trouble.
वही बड़ी
So
बात.
some of them were like not able to get a proper streaming regularly. So they were not able to listen carefully. They did not have the right equipment. We did not have the right equipment to actually record also. So all that we faced initially. So yes, COVID did hit the business. In fact, we took a considered decision to close down the spoken English business later.
Okay.
So we now primarily focused on aptitude learning
Okay.
because that's what I think can be done online better than just skilling up. So we'll have to crack the code of how do we work on personal skills online differently, separately. Something that we for now left away.
Lovely. So we can see that as you've done multiple businesses, how would you compare the ROI of education-based business, which you've done a lot, and a non-education business? ROI का क्या आप impact देते हैं उसका? Education में ज़्यादा होता है क्या ROI?
Actually ROI एजुकेशन में कम होता है.
कम होता है. Okay.
But then वो कहना भी गलत होगा. It's a sweeping statement, not entirely true. हर बिजनेस का एक ब्रेक इवन है जिसके बाद उसका ROI मल्टीप्लाई होता है. So you would understand that there is a fixed investment or cost that is going on in every business. Once you start meeting it and then scaling happens beyond that is when your ROI will grow. So education business के लिए भी ये true है. If you see someone like a DPS or someone like a big university like MIT or someone, you will find that these guys will be making, these guys would be creating big ROI because of the fact that now they've reached that scale beyond which every bit of revenue is actually profit. Because otherwise they've invested in everything that can serve the next guy, okay, without any additional cost. So variable costs are much lesser there, right? So that's how it is. So ऐसा नहीं कह सकते कि इसमें ROI कम है या उसमें कम है. But then there are traditional businesses जहाँ पर ROI है ना आप कंपेयर कर ही नहीं सकते. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम लोग जब इतने सारा डिस्कशन करते हैं, कई बार ऐसा डिस्कशन आता है कि हम रियल स्टेट में क्यों नहीं घुस जाते हैं. बिकॉज रियल स्टेट विल गिव अस अ ROI विच इज सो इमेंस कि हम जितने माइक्रो काम करते हैं, ओके, आपको केवल एक बड़ी डील क्रैक करना है एंड यू विल स्टार्ट गेटिंग ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी देयर, राइट. एंड उस एक डील पे आप 1.5 साल तक काम कर सकते हो,
Correct.
राइट. यहाँ पर for every, because a retail business is you got to get every consumer, right? So that has a, वो ROI comparable नहीं है, correct. So मेरे हिसाब से ROI is not the only metric one needs to look at because there are things that you can't do. I don't think that we can do real estate well.
Correct.
Okay, and so even if there is a huge ROI which is attractive, we may find ourselves completely unfit to that business.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
But anyways, answering your question, education business में ROI would happen only after you have scaled at a certain level. Because capacity utilization, like any other business, education में भी बहुत ही critical है. Now you may create a classroom of 200 people and you're teaching 20 students. Then obviously your ROI is not going to be good.
You're right.
Right, so that can happen.
Absolutely. So we've seen a lot of billboards of siege makers, and how do you calculate the ROI on that? Like जैसे हम ऑनलाइन एडवर्टाइजिंग करते हैं, परफॉर्मेंस मार्केटिंग करते हैं, तो हमें पता है ये क्रिएटिव से, ये ऑडियंस से इतना आ रहा है, ये लीड कॉस्ट है, सब कुछ पता रहता है, मैट्रिक्स सारे रहते हैं. ये बिलबोर्ड में कैसे होता है?
So
हाउ डू यू गेट टू नो ये वाला बिलबोर्ड यहाँ रखना चाहिए, ये इतना वर्थ है, ये इतना वर्थ नहीं है? दिस इज गोज रियली ऑफ माई हेड.
very tough question to answer actually, because I don't have a real answer. You're right, it's a challenge. Very difficult to say कि whether this billboard worked or not, right? Because आजकल actually जो new age medium है, okay, उसमें tracking mechanisms inbuilt है. So yes, you have all the data analytics there. Here you collecting such kind of a data analytics will itself be a big survey and huge cost. So it is actually not worth it. As a result, that is why I keep saying that's why entrepreneurs are there. Entrepreneurs have to build a sense or a gut for what is working and what is not working. So my way of doing it, and I'm just saying this is what is my way of doing it, and I'm not saying that this is the best way of doing it, is to develop a smell test for everything.
What is that?
Okay, which is like, an environment gives you feedback on what you're doing. So let's say, for example, you came up with 10 billboards across the city. You thought of strategic positions. Okay, you thought of a communication that is there. It is happening. I'm telling you, if it is working, you'll start getting feedback.
From?
Okay, from various people. I mean, totally
Not only walk-ins.
totally unrelated people.
Achha.
So what will happen is, let's say, for example, at one point of time, you were talking about partnerships. Okay, Raj Express, the medium group, what they did was they took photographs of me, Ajay, and Sumit, the three partners that we started initially with, and they put it up on a billboard saying partnership is progress. Okay, so they presented us as someone who's a model of successful partnership. Okay, now this is just a single billboard put up at Guitarwala Square, okay, for maybe a couple of months. And believe me, what you would do is you'll enter a MACD and somebody's going to say, aren't you the guy who's one of those three? And you see your billboard is working. Okay, you get a phone call from a lot of known people and say, beautiful, this was very well done. And you say, yes, this is working. Okay. We used to have in our registration form a small question for those who are registering with us. We used to ask them, okay, how did you come to know of us? And how did you finally decide that this is going to, that this is going to be our
How effective is that? Because we have tried.
Not very effective.
Yeah.
But then
also it didn't work.
you see, for all data, there is one line which is very simple. Standalone, no data is useful. The trend of data, okay, is generally correct. So, for example, if your measure is same, okay, month to month, year to year, the trend is actually working for you. You can't say that 40% is what is my ROI on this billboard. But you can say that it was 40% 6 months ago. By the same metric, if it is 45 today, okay, it is working for you. So, I'm in CAT prep business. I help people understand how to prepare for CAT or, aptitude.
CAT preparation.
CAT preparations. CAT is the MB entrance test, that is mother of all exams, it's called. So, in that, when students come to me and says, look, sir, here is a test in which I scored 120. Here is a test that I scored 80. And I don't know where am I going. Right, so I tell them, look, don't look at a standalone data or score. Let's create a graph and let's look at the trend line. Are you growing even by a slope of 2, 3, 4%? Then you're growing. Okay, so I actually do this exercise with them, and then the similar thing works with this. Your smell tests actually start happening. You know what? At one stage, we said no, billboards are not working. Let's remove them. Right,
okay,
so
that happened.
Yeah, so you see, currently we don't have many billboards, right? In fact, we've reduced print advertising a lot, right? Initial days, people used to come back to me. Aajkal paper mein nahi dikh rahe ho? Right? Here is a smell test that is happening. They are feeling the void there. You're not visible, which means that was working at some time, right?
That was working.
Okay, so you have to work on those guts. I don't think there is a metric there.
Lovely. Sir, till what I would say HR, human resource,
Yeah.
क्या नंबर तक आपकी कंपनियां पहुंची all together? कितने लोग, if we say on payroll?
So the largest we grew in terms of number, because CH Agemakers, the coaching business is actually people heavy. So we kind of touched 150, 200 around there.
200.
But otherwise, most of our businesses remained less than 100 people for now.
And don't you think when you empower them, Do you lose them or do you retain them?
बोथ.
तो क्या करा जाए, एम्पावर करा जाए, नहीं करा?
नहीं, एम्पावर तो करना ही होगा, क्योंकि उसके बिना तो आपका मल्टीप्लिकेशन पॉसिबल नहीं है.
हाँ.
सी, आई विल टेल यू व्हाट, यू कैन नॉट, and this is personally my view, people can disagree, you cannot be very choosy or selective about the fact that you see this guy I don't trust because he's not going to remain with me long, so let me not delegate to him and etc. If you're going to keep everything to yourself, you may have, as well run just a single tutoring business and you will still get a good ROI. In fact, you'll probably get better ROI.
हाँ, आपका X ज्यादा होगा.
X ज्यादा होगा. ये
कि
true है.
5x हो गए, आप 10x हो गए, मैं 1000 रुपए डालता हूँ 10,000 कमाता हूँ, 10x पे हूँ.
लेकिन वो 10,000 होगा, राइट? वो 10 लाख नहीं होगा, 10 करोड़ नहीं होगा.
10 करोड़.
राइट. नाउ वो 10 लाख या 10 करोड़ तभी होगा जब आप डेलीगेट करोगे. व्हेन यू विल एम्पावर पीपल, देन दे themselves become brands. So we have done that all. We have burned our fingers also. People go, and I think it's not irrational for them to go. They look at their own growth. Okay, but
So it's not a controllable, you mean?
It is not a controllable, and I don't think we should try to control.
उसमें फोकस भी नहीं करना चाहिए.
नहीं करना चाहिए.
एम्पावर करते रहो,
आप
जिसको
करते रहो.
रुकना है रुके,
करते रहो.
जिसको जाना है जाए.
मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, इंदौर में ये ट्रू है, दिस में लुक लाइक बोस्टिंग बट ये ट्रू है कि अगर एप्टीट्यूड टेस्टिंग में इंदौर में किसी भी कोचिंग क्लास में अगर लेट्स से 100 लोग पढ़ा रहे हैं ओवरऑल, तो उनमें से कम 25 या 30 मेरे ट्रेन किए हुए लोग हैं, जो कि एक टाइम पर हमारे फैकल्टी थे, हम लोगों ने उन्हें ट्रेन किया है और फिर they are teaching at other places and doing very well. And I have very good relationships with them because they actually carry that gratitude कि हमने आपसे ये सीखा है.
Right.
They come and go also. There are times when they join us again, and then for a few years we work together and then go back because people get opportunities.
तो लोगों को क्या चाहिए कि वो रुक जाए? मतलब इतने सालों से अगर आप ये बता रहे हैं कि भाई इतने सारे आपके वेल ट्रेन्ड पीपल हैं, दैट मीन्स क्या आज आपको ऐसा लगता है कि देख के कि शायद मैंने उसको ये दे दिया होता तो शायद वो रुक जाता और शायद मैं ग्रो पर, डज दैट फीलिंग कम इन और डू यू फील दैट वे, और नहीं ठीक है इसको जाना जाएगा, वो जाएगा ही?
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है, जो जाएगा वो तो जाएगा. यू आर राइट, एक्चुअली यू आर राइट, बट देन आई विल टेल यू व्हाट, एक स्टेज के बाद मनी विल स्टॉप रियली mattering.
Partnerships or something like that.
Yes,
if
yes.
Yeah.
So more ownership of something that they're doing is something that could help. So for example, if you look at it this way differently, let's look at it differently. You were saying that we created a lot of partners, right? And how did it work? I think if we had not created that many partners, we would probably not have collected so much skill sets who are going to remain with us, right? So they got anchored because of the fact that they were part of the business. They owned it up. In fact, a very large number of our own, let's call them employees, were also, they stayed with us fairly long because they owned the brand, assuming that it is there. I mean, मैं आपको पिछले ही महीने का एक एग्जांपल बताता हूँ. मेरा एक बहुत पुराना कुलीग है जिसने हमने साथ में बहुत काम किया. मैंने उसको एज अ फ्रेश इंजीनियर रिक्रूट किया था, ट्रेन किया हमारे साथ, कम से कम 7, 8, 10 साल उसने बहुत टॉप क्लास फैकल्टी रहा. Then he went on his own, did a lot of businesses together, etc. अभी पिछले साल ना he joined us back for just a period of a year or two because he said, sir, I am on a sabbatical. मैं दूसरे businesses अभी तक मेरे जब तक settle नहीं हो जाते तब तक I want to do. So he's doing it. उसने अपने पार्टनर से मुझे मिलाया, ठीक है, तो बोलता है ये वो सर हैं जिनके साथ मैंने शुरू किया था एंड ही CHH makers. फिर उसके बाद मैं कुछ बोलता उसके पहले, मैं तो ये बताऊँ जितना CHH makers इनका है ना उतना ही मेरा भी है. ओके, एंड सो हम क्योंकि साथ में काम किए हुए हैं और आज भी है ना, सर को मैं सर भले ही बोलता हूँ लेकिन हम लोग वी वर्क लाइक पार्टनर्स. नाउ दैट वन लाइन एक्चुअली आई थिंक इज व्हाट आर अर्निंग इज इन दिस HR बिजनेस. मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, कुछ ब्रांड्स में दूसरी जगह पर वो फैकल्टी काम कर रहा होगा. सपोज आई एम इन बिग ट्रबल एंड आई वांट समवन कि यार एक 15 दिन के लिए ना कोई मॉड्यूल लेने कोई आ जाए, तो आई कैन टेल यू दैट इफ आई कॉल दैट गाय एंड ऐसे यार 15 दिन है ना ये क्लास तू ले ले, मुझे जरा चाहिए, इज नॉट गोइंग टू से नो. टू मी दैट कनेक्ट is something that will give you longer stay.
You're right.
You cannot keep anyone eternally staying with you. Okay, because
but they are available when you want them.
They are available when you want them because they know that they got empowered by us, that we are there always for them, and so they also feel that they are there for us. I feel one thing that every manager should be proud of, that if you created good managers, good technical people in your organization who are working well in the other environment also. You should actually be happy, because that actually brings about a certain staying power in your organization. People look at one point of time, CH Makers was being looked at by a lot of youngsters where they can learn how to be in the coaching business.
Right.
Right,
Like
so-
I was one of them.
That's so nice of you to say. So yes, that happens, and so that, to me, that itself is a retention technique. Okay, it's the Infosys principle. People used to join Infosys and then sometimes make it big in their own as an entrepreneur. Okay, and Infosys actually proliferated because of that. Not it did not get into trouble because of that.
Right.
So I believe that if we have been in this business for 25 years as a local player competing with national brands, I think that happened because of this very factor.
Right. Right. Talking about big companies.
Yeah.
Talking about legacy. Where do you think you're going to leave your legacy? What is going to create that legacy for you, and what is legacy for you?
Well, you called me for a talk on startups, right? So I think that's where my legacy should. I would believe that people should know me as someone who was in and out of so many startups, learned, made some of them successful, learned from what failed or what did not work, and so maybe if people can think of me as someone from whom one can learn how to navigate this, twists and turns of being a startup founder and working and making them successful. I think that would be the best remembrance that people
And how
can
would you
have.
define that success?
Well, success would mean that you built an idea, you had an idea, and you traveled the distance to make it happen and make it successful in the sense that it is now something that is accepted as a successful product. People buy it, feel happy, delighted about it, and refer other people to buy it because it was a good product.
So referring is a great
Referral is a
great
to me,
parameter to success.
Absolutely. Word of mouth is, I think, the biggest and the best test of your success. If someone is saying that, look, I give you an example, right? आपको बड़ा मज़ेदार किस्सा बताता हूँ. हमारी पहली स्टूडेंट ऐप, नाम शायद सोशल मीडिया पे लेना ठीक नहीं होगा, हमारा पहला रजिस्ट्रेशन सो कॉल्ड, जिसने पहली बार आके हमने CH मेकर्स खोला था और हम बैठे होते थे कि कोई आएगा और रजिस्टर करेगा.
पहले तो CH था.
CH था पहले. Cerebral Heights was the name.
So you're talking about CH or CH?
I'm talking of CH. I'm talking of 98.
98.
Right? तो दिस गर्ल, शीपिश गर्ल, बोलती नहीं थी. ओके, छोटी सी बच्ची थी. उसके फादर सरदार जी थे. दोनों आए, चुपचाप आए. मैंने पूछा, बेटा क्या, बेटा नहीं, उस वक्त आई वॉज वेरी यंग, सो आई सेड यस, व्हाट डू यू वांट? एंड द फादर सेड, सर इसको एडमिशन कराना है. तो मैंने कहा, आपको प्रोडक्ट कुछ मैं डिटेल बताऊँ? बोले, सर आप तो बस एडमिशन कराना है. सो ही काइंड ऑफ गेव मी द फी एंड आई गेव हिम द रिसिट एंड दैट्स ओवर. दिस गर्ल later became a professor in a college. Okay, and उसके पेरेंट्स कभी भी अगर आज भी मिल जाए ना तो बोलते हैं, आपने पता नहीं इस बच्ची को क्या किया था, पहले ये कुछ भी नहीं बोलती थी, अब इसको चुप रहना मुश्किल हो जाता है. नाउ दैट्स अ फीडबैक, राइट, यू गेट. अब मैं आपको थोड़ा आगे ले जा रहा हूँ. ये रजिस्ट्रेशन हो गया, ये सब हो गया, एंड वी फॉरगॉटन. 7-8 years down the line, I am invited to a college for a seminar, a career seminar. So I went there. I took the seminar, everything went happy, everything is over. Now you're sitting, then a lady comes to you and says, hello Akash sir. And I said, yaar, sorry, I did not recognize you. आपको मालूम है, and she is not even telling you who she is. आपको मालूम है, मेरे भांजे, भतीजे, मेरे इतने सारे स्टूडेंट्स, ये सब आपके स्टूडेंट्स रहे हैं. फिर उसने उस साल के कुछ नाम लिए, देखिए ये भी आपसे पढ़ती है, ये आपसे पढ़ती है, ये आपसे पढ़ती है. ऐसे तू है कौन? बोले, सर मैं आपकी पहली स्टूडेंट हूँ, पहला रजिस्ट्रेशन हूँ, और आपको लग रहा होगा ना कि मैं वो हो ही नहीं सकती क्योंकि मैं कितना बोल रही हूँ. बट देन दैट इज व्हाट आई हैव लर्न फ्रॉम CH मेकर्स, CH Cerebral Heights that time. Okay, so that is what I've learned from CH, and that is why everyone whom I see as someone who needs a little bit of a personality development and a confidence and the way to deal with it, I blindly say go and meet Akash sir. So this is 98. She keeps sending students even today, 20 years down the line, and now I have not. I mean, she doesn't even know how much I might have changed, right? But that keeps happening. Now that to me, that is the best parameter of the success of model that you built. तो मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ कि word of mouth is something that works best.
Is one of the best.
आप देखिए ना, इंदौर के फूड के लिए ऐसा होता है ना कि कोई जाता है, मैं जब बात करता हूँ कि मैं बाहर जाता हूँ, अच्छा आप इंदौर से हो, यार हमने बहुत सुना है वहाँ का खाना, and I said yes, come down and I'll let you know. This is word of mouth for Indore.
Absolutely, and that's how food business is flourishing in Indore. So talking about personal development, personality development, जिस पे आपका बहुत bent है और CH makers का हमेशा से रहा है. People pay for that. Is it a can you make good money from that? ऐसा ये business है जिसमें आप पैसा कमा सकते हैं? क्योंकि मैं भी रहा हूँ 10 साल इसमें, तो मुझे थोड़ा सा
क्वेश्चन है. हाँ, आई एग्री कि it is not that
financially rewarding.
It is not scalable. Financially rewarding in the sense कि आप अगर ROI देखोगे तो वो फिर भी अच्छा है. Okay, but it is not scalable because
क्यों सर? इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है, पूरी दुनिया ये बोलती है, फिर भी लोग क्यों नहीं पर्सनालिटी डेवलपमेंट पे खर्च करना चाहते?
मेरा इस पे केवल एक ही लाइन का एनालिसिस है कि जनरली कंज्यूमर वो खरीदता है जिससे वो एक आउटकम रिलेट कर पाता है.
ROI इसको ROI चाहिए,
आउटकम रिलेट करना चाहिए. मतलब फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे पास बंदा कैट प्रेप के लिए आएगा, क्यों? क्योंकि उसको कैट क्रैक करना है. दैट्स अ आउटकम. मेरे पास कोई इसलिए नहीं आएगा कि सर आप मुझे ना अच्छी कम्युनिकेशन स्किल सिखा दीजिए बस, बिकॉज उसका एक डायरेक्ट आउटकम अभी उसको दिखता नहीं है. और जब दिखता है तब तक वो बहुत आगे जा चुका होता है. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल यू और आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड द इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ गुड कम्युनिकेशन स्किल्स एंड हाउ इट कैन चेंज माई वर्ल्ड. Correct?
All the top companies, top leaders, you see those who are doing good are very good in leadership, communication. Or
if you cannot communicate with people in a manner, okay, that is convincing or that is effective, okay, believe me, your technical knowledge is not going to work, and that you know.
क्योंकि खुद तो कितना कर लोगे?
Correct. But the problem is, think of someone who is at a undergraduate level, okay, and
उसको
for
vision
him or her
उसको
to understand this, that it can be so important, is very difficult.
Very difficult.
He is telling you, he is technically very strong and he is telling you, look, I have done all this, and I'm trying to help him structure it in a manner where it looks simplified. I kind of remembered, just last week I was at IIM Indore. These people were presenting a case to me on aviation industry. Excellent research. Okay, amazing kids. Very, very good. Okay. They have figures on their fingertips. They're talking about EBITDA, they're talking about revenues, they're talking about HR problems of Air India and Indigo, and these guys and they were all very, very good. Okay, but they were given 8 minutes to present and 5 minutes to answer questions. In the 8 minutes, most of them packed so much, okay, that they themselves got lost into what they were saying, right? The only feedback I could give to them was that, look, data is not communication or point. Okay, your point can never be data. Data can only support a point. So why don't you learn to present so much of research in small bits and be able to convey? Right. And let the other guy ask for, background research when he does not feel convinced about your point. So can you do that? Now think about it. It's a big problem. Okay, they cannot necessarily appreciate it even at this point of time because they feel हमने इतना research किया है और आप कह रहे हो कि इतना कर दो. I gave them this line. I don't know how many will actually follow it. I said, do your research 300%. Present only 50%. Okay, so present 1/6 of what you've done as a research. Okay, and then focus on the top 3 points that you want to make on a certain thing.
Because you're right. I agree to that because the whole discussion becomes very technical and very cumbersome. And it's very difficult to understand if we share all the data.
No, and as someone who's teaching communication for so long, you would understand the importance of the fact that what you need to do is you need to give what is relevant to your audience at that point of time from what you've done. You don't want to give everything, right? because that person is not
कई
even
चीजों को मतलब ही नहीं है उससे,
उसको
हाँ,
interest ही
मतलब ही नहीं है
उसका
उसको,
मतलब ही नहीं है.
You're right. So that is soft skills.
That is soft.
That is soft
That is
skills.
soft skills. That's everything.
That's everything, and that is still in India not paid well. People are not paid to when they teach it, and that's, I think that's also one of the reasons. A lot of people are not able to monetize the soft skill market.
Yes.
Which is a huge market, but
At mass scale, scale, it is not actually monetizable in the same manner, because there are two problems associated with this. One, it is a very personalized training. I mean, believe me, at least I personally don't have a conviction where I can make 1,000 people sit and then learn soft skills, right? Because that
but for the
scaling
technical you can do it. For the technical you can do
for
it.
technicals you can do it, but on soft skills you can't do it. So when you're going to do soft skills training for small numbers, okay, you will have to charge higher to get that kind of a. So that per let's call that ARPU, right? So revenue per ticket, if it goes high, then it becomes a problem. So that's the problem you deal with.
Right. Absolutely. Lovely. So, sir, just one last question.
Yeah.
While technology is a driving force right now also in your companies and that's happening in the market, any non-technological innovation or practice that you find particularly impactful in your field? कुछ ऐसे सिद्धांत, ऐसे प्रिंसिपल या ऐसे कोई सिस्टम्स जो आपने बनाए हैं या आप हर कंपनी में वो फॉलो करते हैं? जैसे एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल अगर मैं दूं आपको, जैसे एक पर्ची सिस्टम करके होता है. So पर्ची सिस्टम is like, you know, if you have a small team and people often forget what you do. I used to do it a lot of times. We call it the workie or the पर्ची system. So workie is you have small squares of paper, small, and any task if you are giving it to someone, you write it on a piece of paper and you give it to them so that they can pin it, and जब वो काम हो जाएगा तो वो निकाल दिया.
Lovely idea.
So something like this, क्योंकि लोग भूल जाते हैं और फिर बोले सर मैं तो भूल गया. तो अब आपको ही सबका याद रखना पड़ता है कि भाई इस समय पे ये काम हो जाने, तो हमारे सारे रिमाइंडर हो जाते हैं. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ दैट वी स्टार्टेड सम एनी दैट काइंड ऑफ सिस्टम्स और एनीथिंग व्हिच यू डू इन योर कंपनी व्हिच इज लाइक आप करते ही हो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम.
Can I make a macro point?
Yeah, sure.
है ना? Not really a micro point
Yeah,
of the
sure.
kind you gave as an example. मुझे लगता है कि one thing that worked for me across everywhere is what is called an open door policy. You can just walk in and talk to me about anything, any point of time, whether you're a colleague, a student, or just anyone. You know, my son is very irritated at this. कि आप हर किसी से okay, कुछ भी बात करने लगते हो, वो कुछ भी लेके आता है तो आप उसको साथ डिस्कस करने को तैयार हो जाते हो. What is this? I mean, you're probably wasting your time or you're not being productive enough. And I say that this actually works best. I'll tell you why. You said there are lots of technological innovations that are happening, and इसमें कौन सा non-technological issue, right? What is one impact of technology, okay, that not a lot of people have still understood or realized? It is that a person is getting lonelier.
The human connect is missing.
Human connect तो भूल जाइए अब आप. उसका social connect, environmental connect डिक्लाइन होते जा रहा है.
लोन वुल्फ बनते जा रहे हैं.
लोनली होते जा रहा है ना. तो आप रील बनाते हो, आप उसको मीडिया पे डालते हो, उस पर ढेरों लाइक्स आते हैं, कमेंट्स आते हैं, आप उनके साथ इंटरेक्ट करते हो, एंड यू आर स्टिल lonely because you can't actually talk about, see, on social media you can't talk about your inner
हाँ, सब कुछ थोड़ी
thought
बात हो
processes
सकती
or
है,
feelings,
right?
right? So you need someone. I'll tell you, I have relationships with my colleagues, not all of course, but then quite a few, where they can just walk in, talk about their situations, lives. Sometimes they don't even expect you to advise or just need a listening ear. And I'm able to do that, with a lot of people. So
And
you
that,
were saying
that pays you a lot.
it pays you a lot, because then these guys are ready to do things for you,
Yes.
without any expectations. Okay, so while you will want to meet their expectations, they are not worried about the fact that whether I'll get something or not.
Yes,
Look
yes.
at this, guys.
Yes,
There's nothing for people like them in getting me into these opportunities or making my talk, etc. There's nothing, right? But they'll just do it. There's a connect.
You're right.
Right? And I'm saying that this is beyond your professional relationships, or that I pay you for a work that you do, or that I'll give you examples. And this is like a CEO. As CEO, are people able to discuss with you their next career moves? If they're able to do it, then you're doing it very well. Because look at it this way, you are working with me currently and you're talking to me कि सर मेरे पास ऐसी एक opportunity आई है, आपको क्या लगता है जाना चाहिए नहीं जाना चाहिए? And this is not a ploy, this is not a ploy to get more from me.
You're right.
It's a genuine advice he's asking for.
Right.
So what is he believing in? He is believing in the fact that I can take my CEO cap away and I can put on his friend cap and then advise on it.
You're right.
Okay,
That's
now
a good thing. That's a great
big
thing.
deal.
That's a big deal. And that recently happened with us. Very recent. 1 month back.
So that's
Yes,
great. I mean,
yes.
if that is happening, you're doing something very right, in my view.
Yes. And in a way we I actually gave him the right contact कि भाई तू उससे जाके बात कर, ये तेरी really मदद करेगा.
So
And that worked.
because you said another example again, 2000s ka, there was a young girl who came to me and at that time ISB was just happening. This is ISB Hyderabad. One of the leading B schools. So that was just happening and she wanted to help me prepare for their interview rounds because we didn't have a module for such a thing. That was a different section. So I helped her. She got selected there. She did very well. 5 years down the line, she sent a niece of hers to me and said, Akash, she wants to prepare for MBA and I want you to meet her. So I met her. Now this girl, this girl came and we had a conversation about half an hour. Now this person goes back and I get a call from my earlier student. Akash, good that you have not changed. And I said, what happened? बोले वो बच्ची इतनी डरी हुई गई थी तुम्हारे पास कि यार ये ना मैं ISB पास आउट हूँ और ये मुझे भेज रहे हैं उनके पास जिसने इनको ISB सेलेक्ट करवाया है, तो वो मुझसे एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि ये कैट क्रैक करेगी, IIM जाएगी, एटसेट्रा. शी टॉक टू मी कि सर एक्चुअली मेरे इतने बड़े एम्बिशन ही नहीं है. इज़ इट ओके इफ़ आई डू एन MBA फ्रॉम XYZ institute and get into a small this thing like that? And I said, yeah, if this is what you want, let's plan for that. And so we discussed how to go about doing it. So she was so happy. वो जाके बोलती है कि now she is very confident because she is feeling that I am not doing anything wrong. Because she gets compared to me all the time as to look, तुम्हारी आंटी ने तो यहाँ तक पहुँच गए, अब तुम यही करना चाहते हो. Now she can confidently tell them कि हाँ मैं यही करना चाहती हूँ. That's very tense.
Right.
So what have you done? You've connected to her at a level where she'll now never forget you.
I totally agree to that. So, sir, this is often we have seen people, confused to continue one thing for years or jump to the next opportunity, to the next opportunity, to the next opportunity. How do you balance that, and how one should balance it? Fail fast, like Google says, or keep doing what
No,
you do?
even Google doesn't say that flatly like this, that you have to fail fast. What Google is saying, and I'm saying, and that's very commonsensical, is that you need to know that you are failing, which means basically you need to keep analyzing what you have done in the past and what is the trend. We were discussing this in the initial stages also. So look at the trend, whether you are growing in some way. I'll give you an example. When we started off in the coaching business, we did a big seminar. We could collect, very good selling happened. We could collect some 220 people in the first seminar. We had a good seminar. Everyone appreciated the fact that, look, you have brought a new product. This wasn't there in Indore for some time. And so, yes, people need it. So we were expecting that tomorrow onwards, there'll be people who will walk in, we'll talk to them, and some of them will register. For 2 months, nothing happened. Nothing, absolutely nothing happened. Not even a single registration. That one girl that I was talking about happened after 2-3 months. So people came, a very few people trickled down, discussed with us, felt good about us, but then they went away. And so our first batch was close to 6 people, 6 or 7 people. And that's all. Okay, but this 6 and 7 people, we took feedback from, and I still have them, by the way, in their handwriting somewhere in the closet. They said, look, Akash, there is nothing like this that exists in Indore, okay, and students need it. That made me feel that we are in the right direction. Next year, we made this 630. But believe it, for 2 years, we are doing it, and we have reached only a number of 30. Next year, it became about 100. By the 4th or 5th year, okay, we were now multiplying. right? Now, however, each of these 30 or each of those 60 that happened in every year, they were giving you a feedback that, look, this is working. Then we could see that our selection ratios were higher than the largest class in the city. So we said, look, it is working. But it's just that it will take its own beautiful time. Now, I'll share a very personal parable here, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. I don't know if I shared with you. I had got into this entrepreneurial journey, giving up a job which was paying me $60,000 in 1997. So it was a very big deal for me. Okay, I mean, I had the second best offer, all IIMs, in 1997. Okay, and then I did not join that job and started off this business. For first 2 years, you can see the numbers I shared with you. It wasn't making any money for me. The petrol in my scooter used to be filled up by my dad quietly, okay, and then be left with me. Right, that was the situation. Yeah. So there was that weak moment when you reach and I asked my dad, कि यार पापा कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, 1.5 साल हो गए. So my dad comes from a business family from Ratlam. We were like saukars in my grandpa's and great grandfather's business. So उन्होंने प्लेन मालवी में एक चीज़ बताई, बोले आकाश किसी भी बिजनेस का एक 2.5 साल 3 साल का रूल होता है. ओके, या तो 3 साल में वो पेबैक करना शुरू कर देगा. ओके, अदरवाइज तुम मान सकते हो कि इट इज़ नॉट वर्किंग. अभी तेरे को 1.5 साल हुआ है, मे बी ट्राई अनदर 1.5 years, and it worked.
The 1,000-day philosophy.
1,000-day philosophy, the management. In MBA, we did learn it and we don't remember it. And you remember it because such a moment happens in your life and it becomes a business, right? You understand that. So the 1,000-day rule is what we are talking about. It is such a deep rule. It is such simply said. Now, forget 1,000 days, forget 3 years. Okay, look at what the principle is. Principle is that every business will have a gestation period. And that gestation period, it will take whatever you do. Okay, however much hype you generate, it will take that gestation period. During this gestation period, you will have to constantly analyze that what you're doing is working on the ground. Okay, if that is so, you keep the conviction, continue, and find ways to survive.
Right.
And at one point of time, that thing will happen, it will click and you'll go. But yes, the question is very valid. You will need to continuously analyze this and you have to be dispassionate about the fact that it is not working, and so maybe it is time for us to say a goodbye.
Right. Absolutely. So, taking this just one more thread ahead is there are a lot of businesses who have a lot of value, but the scale is not there.
Correct.
Because they don't know how to build hype.
Yeah.
Because you brought that word, hype.
Absolutely.
How do you balance this? Do you just work on value proposition and moat, which you were talking about? Okay, I'm adding value. And the other side is to build a hype of something.
Yep.
To go on social media, go on different news channels and, build that big image. What do you do first? Is there steps, or do you do it simultaneously, or you don't do something? Like, what's your take on that?
Before I answer this question, maybe I'll let you know that I'm not the right guy to answer it, because honestly, I've not done the hyping up well ever in my life.
How do you feel about that?
But yes,
do you think
I have a very clear opinion on this. What I feel is that hype can get you eyeballs, it can get you footfalls, it can get you initial conversions. There is no doubt about it, and that's important. It's very important. However, I would suggest never go with hype before you have the product right. Because at the end of the day, all the hype will get you initial business, initial traffic you'll get.
Yes.
Okay, but if your product did not deliver on the expectations, at least to 70-80%, okay, then it is going to recoil in a manner where you will never be able to come back again. So it's a very thin line of, it's a very, very tightrope walking actually. As a result, my suggestion here is that, do that piloting. I keep saying, थोड़ा सा basic research करके एक pilot run करना चाहिए. So initially, run your idea with prospective clients, maybe at a throwaway price or even at cost, and look at whether it is working. If it is not working, tweak it, try it again, and once you start feeling it, now I can deliver.
And now it's more predictable.
Right.
कि
Now
अब
you-
मैं इतना
you have-
डालूंगा इतना निकलेगा.
You have the control.
Yeah.
You know that this is my model, this is how it will work, and this is how it will get delivered. In most cases, this will work in this manner.
Now it's time to fuel it up.
Now it is time for you to kind of. go
जैसे
ahead.
एग्जाम्पल आपके बिलबोर्ड्स जो उस समय थे.
Yes.
So you had that bandwidth कि आप लाखों रुपए खर्च कर सकते हैं
Exactly.
महीने के to build that hype.
Not just that. I'll tell you, हमारे पास कम्युनिकेशन था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैंने आपको बताया पहले 2 या 3 साल में ये 50-60 ये बिलबोर्ड्स के कारण नहीं हो रहा था. दिस वाज डायरेक्ट मार्केटिंग
Correct.
एंड
That
वर्ड
was-
ऑफ माउथ.
Yes.
Now what happened was, over 3 years we have a body of work that we've done. We have referrals, we have testimonials, and we have results. So we came up with a campaign which said IIMite is equal to CHite. So IIM, those who are going to an IIM,
Yeah, I remember that.
is equal to CH is cerebral height, CHite. So we were connecting the two. If you're a CHite, you have a very high probability that you'll be an IIMite. Okay, and it was
It worked well.
based, yeah, it worked beautifully. I'm telling you that मेरे पास
You hit the burning desire of people.
right, and it was supported by data. I could show them that look, there were people who were not getting selected.
हाँ,
Look
ऐसा
at-
बोल दिया मतलब थोड़ी है.
उसका लास्ट 3 साल तुम देखो और वो जो रेफरल्स हैं तुम उनसे बात करो. बच्चे जाते थे, बात करते थे उनसे, एंड दे यूज्ड टू से नो गो. आई यूज्ड टू कॉल माय अर्लियर स्टूडेंट्स इन अ सेमिनार एंड दे यूज्ड टू टॉक टू दिस गाइज. सो देयर वाज अ टाइम व्हेन वी यूज्ड टू हैव सेमिनार्स विद 1000-2000 people, prospective customers, no one already joined, and these guys used to talk to them and they could say ki, look, this is how it helped. And so that the two of them synced in the mind, so people started accepting it. Even today, if you're going to talk about people, they're going to say, look, अगर तुम्हें एक बार तुम्हारा IIM में शॉर्टलिस्टिंग हो गया, कैट में आ गया, उसके बाद जब तुम्हें इंटरव्यूज या जो नेक्स्ट लेवल की प्रिपरेशन करनी है ना, तुम आकाश सर के पास चले जाओ या CH के पे जाओ. क्यों? क्योंकि उनका ये वाला जो कन्विक्शन है ना, वो कैंपेन आज तक भी लोगों के दिमाग में है.
Right.
और वो उसको कनेक्ट करता है.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. There is a time when you should blow it up.
You're right.
Okay, and that timing is very important.
So a lot of businesses are fundamental based. जैसे
Yes.
रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान.
Yes.
Like necessity based.
Commodity.
Commodity business. पर आपका और हमारा business is not commodity.
नहीं.
है ना? आपका जो what we've seen is you really scaled with the CAT module,
Yes.
which common aptitude test जो MBA के लिए होता है, उसमें आप उनकी तैयारी. पर वो अब कई लोग को MBA ही नहीं करना है अब, या
Right.
CAT नहीं हो रहा, या जो भी है उसका उतना शायद is what I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, कि उतना वो ग्रेड से वो ग्रो नहीं हो रहा है, उतने स्टूडेंट्स नहीं है जितना पहले था.
करेक्ट, बिल्कुल सही.
तो कैसे हैंडल किया जाए, क्योंकि तो एक्सटर्नल एनवायरनमेंट चेंज हो रहा है. सो हाउ डू यू हैंडल?
No, so you design new products and you deal with you cater to newer crowds. So for example, at one point of time we had a business or product which was bigger than CAT prep. Okay, and today it doesn't exist anymore, by the way, which is campus recruitment test preparations. So
GDPI you're talking about?
group discussion, interviews, aptitude test, but for campuses, which means when companies come and they take aptitude test.
That
and
was
they
bigger
appear
than
for-
CAT.
That was bigger than CAT because we used to do something like 2,500 students in a year.
So how many students have you trained till now?
Oh, that number would have gone into some maybe 1 million around
10 lakhs
over
so many years.
over so many
So
years.
you've trained, your institute, your organization has trained 10 lakh people for months
For
altogether.
months. Yeah. So it's like this. So that became a big business. Now it was basically a offshoot of your CAT prep, a little model to the company tests and a lot of research that went there. You may not know it, but then CH also designed the first communication course and training for ICAI.
Okay.
Chartered Accountants Institute of India. We designed it for them.
Oh.
That is still run as a GMCS module.
GMCS.
Okay, and that was originally designed by CH.
Oh.
We did it for the
And it's a very good module because I have trained on that.
Yes. So
I've taken sessions.
So
on
in
that.
fact, initially we did not just design it. We conducted it for the institute for almost 3-4 years. Then institute said that look, our own chartered accountants will continue doing it, and I said yeah, sure, of course, please do. So the point I'm making is that the skill sets that we bring about, whether that is CAT or something, okay, is still useful because there'll be a new thing that is happening. So as I said, currently CUET is happening. Okay, and we
What is CVT?
the common undergraduate university entrance test है वो CUET, common university entrance test CUET. So as I said, this is a test which will subsume all admission tests at the graduation level. So we are moving towards the US model where you appear in CUET, you have a scorecard, and now you can apply to various universities based on them.
So we're talking about after 12th.
After 12th.
पर अगर ये बॉम्बे में होगा क्योंकि वहाँ 10th तक ही होता है तो उनके लिए 10th के बाद होगा 12th
No,
के
no,
बाद?
वो तो
12th के
K12 के इक्विवेलेंट के बाद ही होगा. So there is an equivalent this thing. So अब ये जो है ना, ये अपने आप में एक प्रोडक्ट है. And CH Makers is actually working. We are a pioneer in that. I can tell you that if you call Ajay and discuss about CUET, he'll tell you how deep or how wide it is and what is its implication, where students and teachers have to now start understanding it.
मतलब अगर किसी को श्रीराम कॉलेज में जाना है तो वो इससे ही जाएगा.
इसी से जाएगा. And in fact आगे जाके हो सकता है, the extreme possibility is that NEET and JEE also may get subsumed here. So once that happens, then CUET is the single mother of all entrance tests that you have to appear for. It will become a SAT. Okay, so you'll get a scorecard and then you can apply to universities based on that. So CH Makers has done its research. It has already developed a product, and we are already delivering a large number of modules there.
Lovely.
Okay, and so you will see that in 5 years' time, maybe you'll start listening. You will find us, kind of ensconced there. So answering your question, you'll always find newer niches in which the same skill sets adapted well can bring new product ideas.
Lovely.
That's how 25 years has happened.
Lovely. And how do you see yourself focusing your energies? It's going to be different organizations you're going to focus, or you're going to pick up one and take it long?
So generally, how we do it is we are a group of we are a group of collaborated, let's call it partners,
yeah.
right? We keep changing our
roles.
Oh. So for example, that I have led CH Makers for maybe close to a decade. Okay, but today that business is being looked after by my partner Ajay, and I have got into a field where I worked initially. So I was an IT professional when we started off, and now we have got back into an IT business, and I'm kind of heading that business. Okay, so we keep doing this. So if your question is where am I focused, I don't know. 5 years down the line, maybe I'll be running another startup from my group, which may be in a very different field.
Wow.
So today abhi we are in the learning phase. IT is happening, and I am only learning the ropes because the IT world has completely changed, you would agree. So हमारा time का जो IT था, client server is dead now. Okay, the cloud has happened, AI ML revolution is happening. So for us, it is like a student life again.
Lovely, sir. Lovely conversing, and very different and varied discussions we had on a lot of parts of our business functions, and that was very, very, very interesting. We have a small hamper, Shivam. We have the hamper.
So nice of you.
Share with our guest. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so
And
much.
really
Thanks a
means a
lot.
lot.
This looks lovely.
Thank you, sir.
Super. Thank you. Thanks a lot. By the way, thank you so much for inviting me here.
Pleasure, sir.
This was a new experience. And I take home a lot of learning. As you said, in the initial stages, maybe I'll go back and say, oh my God, he asked me this and I was answering this. I could have given this also.
Yes.
So yeah.
It always happens.
Great.
It always happens.
Thank you so
Lovely,
much.